right now we're starting off in the garden. We have so much stuff to do, especially trying to plant for a fall crop, a bumper crop. And one of those things I got to do right now is harvest these potatoes. In fact, they needed to be harvested about 1 or 2 weeks ago. Oh. Yo, just check out what I just uprooted here. What in the heck? These things are not having a good time. Some freshly born little rodents. Look at how cute they are though. Wow. I'm gonna show Emily these little babies and she is gonna freak out. Probably thinking that they're really creepy looking.
Is it gonna scare me? Ah! What is it? Ah! Oh, they're babies. We gotta get your mom. We gotta see them. Oh, no.
Look, this one's eating this little tater.
No, I think, are they mice? I thought they were giant worms.
Oh. Oh. They were in this when I dug the potato out.
Oh, that's crazy.
Little babies.
Oh, they don't look like they're gonna survive.
Oh, they might. Oh, there's one in there. You guys. They look like they haven't even developed their eyes yet.
No, they can't see what's happening. I think if
maybe I should put them in the hole.
If you wear gloves, maybe.
Yeah. So here's all the potato plants ready for the compost. And then we've got some piles of potatoes that I'm going to pick up and wash. So the other day we harvested some potatoes, about maybe 2.5 gallons. We already cooked some as well. And I was talking a little bit about how I was a bit disappointed by the yield, but looking at this now and thinking about how much work I actually put in, I only dug holes, threw potatoes in, and you can't buy organic potatoes anywhere here. And even if they're scarred up, these are still organic potatoes that we grew ourselves. And to be disappointed by the yield is really not constructive. So I'm gonna obviously do things a little differently next year and get a better yield, but I'm still extremely excited about these potatoes, especially these purple ones. These are my favorite type of potato that I've grown. There we go. 5 gallons of spuds. So I've got this pretty unique cannabis strain growing here that I think I've showed you guys before, but it's called Freak Show. You can see the leaves here are all broken apart. Much different than a regular cannabis leaf. And unfortunately, let's see if we can get in here. Right there are the beginning formations of pollen sacs. So this beautiful plant turns out that it's a male, which means I need to kill it. I need to kill it immediately. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury it underneath the compost. So I'm going to put it there, and then I want to flip the compost anyway, so I'll flip the compost onto there, making it so the wind doesn't take the pollen away once these open up. It's a sad day having to cut down these plants. But boom. You can see the evidence of some low stress training there. So the rain and storms that we've had have really just kind of pushed these plants down. They haven't been well enough staked. We're definitely going to use something better than sticks next year. But Emily's in here working hard at getting these tomatoes going. Look at how well she's done on this side. So Emily doesn't really need my help with the tomatoes right now, so instead I'm going to take a look at these cannabis plants and do some some light trimming underneath of the underneath foliage so that we don't get any powdery mildew, any bud rot, and maybe help with the bugs a little bit too, because we got some bug issues coming on a little bit. You can maybe see there's a couple bites, not too bad, like nothing to freak out about or anything, but there are some bugs. So here's our brassicas, and we had a bit of a problem where we planted too close together and we planted too many brassicas in one row. So we had flea beetle infestation. You can tell there's all these holes. This is all from flea beetle. And so I'm gonna uproot all of this and plant some new things in here for fall. So most of these cabbages didn't really form heads. This looks like it could be forming a loose head. So I'm gonna take the plants away that are around that one and a couple other ones. So leave a couple of these cabbages to try to finish. So we actually had some nice van dwellers stay here last night. One of them is on YouTube as Dan in the Can. Dan in a can or Dan in the Can? Either way, I'll link his video that we did together in the description below when it's up, because we filmed with him and then a lady, Steph, who lives in a truck camper. So they took up our driveway, and it's always so nice having some van dwellers stay, and I don't know, getting to show them what we're doing here and talking to what they're doing. You know, it's just, van dwellers are interesting folk, you know, they're living nomadically, and there's all sorts of different reasons that they do it, but typically it's in a search for freedom. They're usually an introspective bunch because of the time spent alone in a confined space. You know, usually they've worked through the materialism kind of mindset where they're not, a lot of them are, you know, minimalist, this kind of stuff. It's always good fun hanging out with some van dwellers for a while. So it's nice to have them. And yeah, I can't wait to have more. So I want to get the garden prepped up and ready to plant a fall bumper crop. So to do that, I need to flip some beds because it is just overgrown in there. And before I do that, I'm going to take this fancy weed whacker that I'm not sure if I've shown you guys, but we have this amazing weed whacker that was gifted to us by Emily's dad. That's this DeWalt one here that is cordless and battery powered. It takes a 20-volt battery, and it's awesome. It just absolutely rips. Check this out. We are dehydrating some parsley and holy basil as well. So takes this battery right here. It works awesome, and I'm gonna get whacking these weeds. Took a rake to this after and raked some of the weed clumps out, and I'll just have to mulch over so the weeds don't come up and know exactly where I plant. Got a classic stir fry firing up here for lunch, and check out these beans and tomatoes and cucumbers. This is insane. These beans have gotten pretty big. I don't mind a little string on a bean. I'll eat those ones, not a big deal to me. But I'm gonna separate these out and get the smaller ones and pickle those ones because they're gonna be nice and soft and delicious. And that's gonna happen real soon. So stay tuned for pickling beans. I'm gonna show you guys, I'll probably do a dedicated how-to for that, but I might incorporate it in the vlog too. There's a little bit of crossover between the two if you haven't already noticed. Today has been such a good day so far. We have gotten so much work done, and it's only just afternoon now. We skipped yoga this morning. Sometimes we do that because sometimes it's nice to do yoga in the middle of the day, especially on a really hot day, because then we can go outside, get work done in the garden while it's still relatively cool, and then come inside where it's nice and cool and do yoga. And I like doing yoga in the morning because then it's done and I feel way better, and it just, You know, it has all that sort of spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical well-being parts to it, because it incorporates so much meditation, and these physical exercises are designed in a certain way. But it is nice doing it in the middle of the day sometimes, because it takes an hour to an hour and a half to do it in the morning, and by then it's already later and it's a little slow to get going in the day sometimes. So today's been super productive, so much work done in the garden already, and of course there's so much more to do. So looking forward to doing more, having some food here, and getting back out there, because I'm gonna plant my fall bumper crop today, hopefully. If not today, tomorrow. Mommy's in the bucket.
Bucky man. Look at his little feeties. Ronnie, are you happy we're both inside now? Are you happy?
There's nothing better than a nice shower after working in the garden all day. A few more little things I want to do before we do some reseeding for the fall crop this afternoon. I gotta go check on this one plant that I'm growing downstairs, and I'm gonna feed it some of this worm casting liquid. So let's get that going. This is a worm casting mix in here. There's a bunch of worms eating away, living in the leaves and compost that I've put in here. And so I just took that out, and this is all liquid that runs off, and it is pretty nutrient dense stuff and full of bacteria that is good for the soil. So this is what I feed my cannabis plants with, as well as tomatoes and zucchini. A lot of stuff I'll feed with this liquid right here. Waheguru, 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 Wahegio, Waheguru, 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 Wahegio, Waheguru, 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 Wahegio, Waheguru, 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 Wahegio, Waheguru, 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 Wahegio. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. What a powerful yoga experience. It's always amazing, but this was the last in the sequence of 7 that we do. This one is targeted at the 7th chakra. The moves are specifically guided and done in a certain way to make the energy kind of go up and feel like it's kind of happening at the crown of your head. It's very interesting the way they've designed these exercises. Whoever's come up with the exercises originally was absolutely amazingly in tune with the body and spirit. So being able to replicate these and do these is an amazing experience, and one that is really, really powerful. The crown chakra, or the 7th chakra, is the individual center of spirit. It's associated with enlightenment, wisdom, universal consciousness, and connection to higher guidance. So it's a pretty special one, and one that I've tripped out doing before. Really tripped out, and really I had an amazing experience. This time it didn't happen, but a couple weeks ago, I did this exact one, and it's so hard, it's so physically difficult, and it's targeting that exact area that it needs to target to make you feel like you've had an enlightening experience, one of absolute bliss. So a couple weeks ago when I did it, what happened was, after an exercise, there's the the pose Shavasana, which is court pose. So you just lay down, and I could feel my sort of my center or my being. It was very much kind of out of my body, the feeling. It wasn't like I was leaving my body, but that my center of focus was outside of my body. It was sort of above and beyond, above my head and upwards. And it was just this feeling of absolute bliss, of complete oneness, that everything was okay, and it felt really, really amazing. And as I became aware of what I was feeling, I could feel the energy shift from my crown to my third eye. So that's more with the awareness of things, right? So the third eye will give you depth in the subtle realm. It's the eye that sees beyond the physical dimension. So I became aware of the way I was feeling, and that instantly brought me down. But because it brought me to the third eye, I had the awareness right away to see, oh, that's okay. I was just supposed to experience it for that short second, and next time I just won't become so excited, and I'll just let it happen for longer. And I didn't get upset that I wasn't experiencing it anymore, or that I thought about it and it took me out, or anything like that. But it was a space that I definitely didn't want to leave. It was extremely blissful, better feeling than like anything in life. It was amazing feeling. And so the experience seeker in me and my past self would have been like, oh, I got to get back there. I got to get back there immediately. But I knew that wasn't obtainable. That was a real special circumstance, and it's something that I haven't experienced since to that degree. I'm sure I will again, but it's not something I even seek. It's just something that naturally happens with these exercises. So that didn't happen today, but it was still exactly what I needed. It was so good, even with how sore my arms are from digging up potatoes and making those new beds and the weed whacking and everything else today. It's still the exact yoga practice that I needed. It made my body and mind and everything just feels so good, and I'm just so ready for the weekend. Today's Friday. In this world, in this vlog world, we're always releasing a little behind, but today's Friday, so we take dedicated weekends off here at the homestead because we know that if we don't, we burn ourselves out, and because there is just endless amounts of projects to do that are very hard creatively and physically and monetarily. So we are speaking of that, actually, we are going to make a purchase today, I think. Well, maybe today. It's a really exciting one. I'm going to buy a small electric tiller, and I'm going to use that to make the garden beds, and I'm going to till in the fall, and then I'm going to try to mulch as much as I can, and then I'll have a growing space for next spring. Or I'm going to till in the fall and in the spring and get the beds ready and accumulate mulch so that I can go into a no-till situation eventually, at least for the majority of my beds. Just because it's much easier once you get them established, and it's supposedly better for the soil. But I'm making that purchase with money from Patreon only. So what we've done with the money from Patreon this year is we've spent $200 of it on the water storage container. So you guys can check out that video, the rainwater catchment system that I built. That was funded exclusively from Patreon, and we now have about $175 in that account. It all goes to PayPal, and so that's enough for a small electric tiller. And so thank you, Patreon. Thank you, everybody who's on there, because you have made these huge improvements on the homestead. Like, an electric tiller is going to just absolutely change the game for me, just as much as that rainwater catchment did. I mean, these are two huge things for the garden, and I couldn't have done it without you. Like, literally I couldn't, because all of our money is going towards the lifestyle we're living, our mortgage, everything like that. We don't have any extra money. The Patreon money, I keep exclusively for projects so you guys can see really what you're doing, what you're contributing towards, and the changes that are happening here. So thank you guys again, and consider becoming Patreon if you want to be more involved. I do a weekly live stream on there. I post exclusive pictures, stories, and I link all the other stuff in there. We have a Discord chat you guys can join. That one's free, but the Patreon is just a small monthly donation, and you guys get access to all that cool stuff, and it goes to support this dream that I've got going here. So thank you guys. So we bought this patty pan from a local farm here, organic farm called Three Forks Farm. And we didn't grow these, but they are supposed to be like zucchinis. These ones we grew. And I think we're gonna try to grow these next year. I love the look of them. They look like little UFOs, but they're not flying. Emily.
Unless they throw it at you.
Whoa, come on, aggressive. Emily's making a fresh pasta sauce, and we're gonna have that for dinner. This is basil from the garden, tomatoes from the garden, and Emily made it the other day and it was so good that she's making it again because I've requested it ever since. Chef Emily. Yes, chef. Right away, chef. I wish I had filmed this, but I just made the bomb-ass salad, and now I'm gonna make a age-old family tradition recipe for some dressing that isn't age-old or family tradition at all. Simple vinaigrette for this little garden salad. So I washed up the beans from today, and I already filled an entire Ziploc full that is going in the fridge for canning tomorrow. But I'm gonna just throw these ones in the freezer once they've dried in this Ziploc, and then this winter we'll be ripping frozen beans, because I rip those in the morning all the time, so that's pretty sweet. So I'm just washing up the spuds. I got some paper bags here that we're gonna store them in. And these are all the ones that have holes or some sort of insect has been eating them. So I'm gonna trim these ones up and use these first and use them as quickly as possible. And then store these ones for later consumption. Damn, this looks good. Trying a new camera angle here with some new lighting. I don't know. It works in the daytime, but it's nighttime now. Oh man, that was an amazing dinner. So incredible. Actually, Emily and I think we're going to probably make a video about how to make that sauce, the tomato sauce that she made. It was so good. We're gonna think about how we can even can that recipe, because we have so many tomatoes coming in from our garden that we really need to figure out how to preserve these. Like, we are thinking, okay, we'll do some natural ferments, some frozen, some canned, sauce, paste, ketchup. You know, we're going down the gambit of what we can make with these tomatoes that we're growing. Same with zucchini. We've started stocking up on zucchini. You guys have saw me process a little bit of the beans today. Tons more processing happening here, and tons more that I want to document. So if you guys are interested in this homesteading kind of stuff, make sure you stick it out on this channel. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, and thanks for watching all the way to this part. That's the biggest thing you can do as well. I mean, there's other things too, of course. You can become a Patreon, you can share, but really the biggest thing is just watching. If you have watched all the way to this point, you have helped this channel more than almost anybody else. You know, you're right up there. So thank you for that. And we'll see you on the next video of the homestead. Thanks everybody.